Welcome to the Association 100 podcast. The A100 podcast is an extension of our Association 100 bi-monthly newsletter that focuses on best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies and tactics that work in the world of associations. The podcast will feature meaningful conversations with association professionals across the country, taking a deeper dive into trending topics, offering insights that both inform and inspire.
Welcome back to the A100 podcast. I'm Colleen Gallagher, broadcasting live from ASAE, and I am so lucky to be joined now by Lakisha Barclay, Executive Director and CEO for the Rubber Division of ACS. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Colleen. Great
Absolutely.
to be here. Thank you.
Sure thing. So, the division is over 100 years old. That blew my mind.
Yes.
How do you continuously evolve and adapt to the changing needs of the community?
I think the first thing to do is we actually just look out at the membership and see what are you asking for. And I truly am a believer of ask first and not just kind of build and they show
That's so
come.
smart.
A lot of people just try to throw out initiatives and things and just see if it works. But I love personally to walk the floor, talk to our members. What are you missing? What do you need? What do you need from us as your association? So I think just constantly listening to our people in the industry and just try to be forward thinking.
I love that because you think about members and why they join an association, and they want to be heard.
Yes.
That's the main thing. They want to feel a community, a sense of community, and
Yes.
they want to be heard. And
Absolutely. Yeah, they do it to build those relationships. And the one thing that I truly love and appreciate with our members is when I walk through the floor and I see people that are so excited to see each other at our annual conference. They just look forward to, I know I'm going to meet up with that friend that I met 25 years ago that helped me with the problem, that they've built a relationship and they continue to nurture it. That is just really empowering to me. I think that it's the reason associations should exist.
100%.
Yes.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Yes.
That's awesome. What are some of kind of the key areas that have driven growth for the association, for the industry over recent years?
I think one of the main things that we really wanted to focus on, I became CEO in January of 2020. I've been with the association for 13 years prior to that. So I was in a different position. I didn't really have an forward, I was behind the curtains, right?
Yep.
But one thing that I noticed is that we have this student population that we really weren't reaching. And so we took some time before COVID started and we had really started to put together some really good programs, student initiatives.
Oh, wow.
And we have seen that now our student membership has grown over 50%.
That's amazing.
Yes, so really engaging them. We went out to the industry and said, listen, our association is here for you. You need future staff.
Yeah.
We need you to help us bring those students to the show. And we have never done that before. So having an undergraduate and graduate program for the industry to help fund these students that otherwise would not have been able to come into the show. So for the students to walk into the show and see an exposition, like a trade, like it's
That has to be so cool.
mind-blowing for them.
I can't imagine something like that when I was at that stage.
Imagine being like a junior in college and you committed to this industry, but you've never seen
But
the
what am I gonna
industry.
really do?
What does this look like? Besides my textbooks and my class and my professors, what does it look like? And so for them to walk on the floor and see all the different ages and ethnicities and all the different nationalities, and they're like, wait, this is an entire broad spectrum of jobs and places I can work. It's a global industry. They're learning there's jobs in every corner of the world. And so
That's cool.
that's how you keep them interested all the way through PhD if they want to.
That's so interesting to hear because I feel like we talk to association after association that just says they can't figure out how to engage that younger audience
Yes.
and how to bring them in, and what a perfect way to do it.
Yeah, and we all know Gen Zs, they have a different way of looking at things. They want to know that they are important.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a conceited way,
No,
but
I
they
agree
want to
with
know that like they don't want to be shuttled like cattle. And so for we had our very first time that we did this, and they got there and one of the sponsoring companies had shirts and bags, and they were like, wait, this is for us? Just to feel like in this big huge world someone took the time to make sure that they had a shirt and a bag. And so we have beautiful pictures of them. They're now making their own relationships because there's not a lot of polymer and rubber focused universities.
I'm
right?
sure. That's actually a great point.
So you have chemistry students, but they've decided that rubber sounds exciting, but I don't know anybody else in rubber. So now they're like, wait, there's other kids in London and here and there, and it's a great way for them to foster relationships too.
That's a really amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the science, you all act as a really valuable resource to bridge that gap between science and industry. So
Yes.
how do you empower that? How do you do that?
So I think the thing that sets Rubber Division apart from there's these other kind of for-profit companies that pop up and they do trade shows.
Yep.
But the one thing that has kept us around and successful for over 100 years is our technical program. So we bring together industry and academia in a space that there is no other place for them to do. So they can hear, the industry can hear from academia on what their research is. Academia can hear from industry on what's important to the industry, so they know where to drive their research.
That's so smart and
Right.
helpful, because otherwise they're just doing stuff for the sake of
talking to
researching.
themselves. Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. It was like no one said they wanted that. It gives an opportunity for them to actually see and cross paths, and then look for funding and jobs and all sorts.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you mentioned those people coming to the trade show and seeing those friends from 25 years ago
Yes.
that they've just built those relationships. How do you as an association really work to nurture that community feel, that collaboration, that knowledge sharing among your members?
I think it's important to not have them so bogged down with sessions that they don't have a chance to nurture the relationship. So we're very grateful that a lot of our exhibitors and sponsors, they have really great networking opportunities off the floor or on the floor, but gives people an opportunity to step away from the hardcore technical programming or working a booth to actually have the time to talk and foster relationships. So you have to give them flexibility so that there's actually opportunity to talk about stuff outside the research lab, but that's where the relationships can grow.
Right.
Because they find out there's commonalities and they're like, wait, we're not just research or we're not just salesmen or distributors, but we also have this in common. And that's where those relationships can grow.
Yeah, that's a really smart way of looking at it, because I think about any conference you go to, it's exhausting when you're in a session.
Yes.
Sometimes you're like, just, okay, I'm done. I
I'm
want to go back
done.
to my room.
Yes. You want to disconnect and you just want to, and then you can get so inundated with so many parties that you don't have, you're like, I'm just not going to go to any. But it's important to have these little, if you look around even this show, there's little tables and little spaces for people to sit down and talk.
I think that's great. I hate when it prevents you from doing that. And I think the thought is, oh, we'll keep them moving through the expo hall, but that's not what it does.
Yes, they're exhausted.
People need a break, and then they'll make great connections.
I sat down to eat some food earlier and had a 20-minute conversation with a person I'd have never crossed paths with, because he also sat down next to me to have a meal. And so just having those opportunities to like take 5 minutes, and we learn about all kinds of stuff that we would have never crossed paths.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was at a conference for a client in Vegas last week and just sat down to eat. And same thing. This woman lives 15 minutes from me back in Alexandria, Virginia, and here we are meeting in Vegas. She understood the communications media landscape and was telling me all about what she'd done, and it was the best conversation.
Never would you have crossed
Right?
paths.
No,
Yeah.
not in a million years.
So things that we've learned is that food brings people together.
It sure does.
I don't care where the venue is or their situation. If there's
Prevents
good food,
being hangry.
Yes, right. It prevents all kinds of things, but food is essential. For
100%.
sure. Yes. They have to have that time. Yeah.
You said that you went from more of a behind-the-scenes role
Yes.
into a very forward-facing role.
Yes.
What was that transition like?
Terrifying, exhilarating all at the same time. I've always been an extrovert, so I tell people I'm an accountant by trade, and they don't believe me because most people think of accountants as introverted and not really people persons, but that's never been me. Learning the industry from a different perspective, because my role was very different before, but just learning who all the players are, who are the, not to sound funny, but like the important companies and people that I need to know, I understand what they do and how they fit into this industry. It has been, obviously I had 67 days of things being normal before COVID.
That was how soon you started before COVID?
My effective January 1st, 2020. So I found out I was promoted in August of 2019, became official January 1 of 2020.
And
so
then the
I hit the
world
floor
changed.
with like this checklist of things I was going to do and places and people I was going to visit, because I wanted to I'm a very relational person. I wanted to develop those relationships as early as possible, and everything shut down. So learning to navigate us so that we existed after this short-term 1 week thing was going to be over, right?
I left a plan on my office desk, thinking I'd be back to water
It's
a week
fine.
later.
It's fine.
Nope.
Yeah, we had the conversation in the hallway. We all said, it's the flu, we'll be home in a third.
Yeah, no big deal.
Governor said go home, fine. Everybody take your laptop, should be back in a couple days. So just getting through that, I think, overshadowed anything else that could have, would have, should have, I would have normally experienced in my first couple years. Yeah.
Do you feel that's made you a lot stronger, though?
Absolutely. I don't think that any CEO or anyone of any leadership position that came into that position during COVID, I can't imagine, and I don't want to imagine, another situation that would be more difficult than navigating an association through a pandemic.
Ooh, yeah.
So we were forged in fire. Everything else is going to seem meh.
It's funny, because that was our thinking. We launched Onward and Upward April 2021, so in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay.
But we said, if we can do it now,
You can do it anywhere.
we can anywhere.
Yeah.
I had some extra complications. I was 6.5 months pregnant. And
Oh, Lord.
2 weeks later, that baby girl came 2 months early.
Girls are feisty that way, aren't
She
they?
sure was.
Sheesh. They don't ever listen.
No.
And then she's going to continue to not listen until she's about 26.
I'm at 2.5 now, and she is a firecracker.
Yes, she's reminding you, I got here when I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm going to run things like I want to.
I am in charge, she
Yes,
says.
you are just my vessel, thank you, but you are not in charge.
Absolutely, too funny. So what's your vision for the next couple of years? What is going to make you feel good to say this is what we've done?
I think continue to grow our women's program. We had really, in like many industries where it's male dominated, we always knew that there were women there, but we really weren't showcasing and empowering our women to step up and be leaders and to really show other young ladies that were considering or had ever thought of science. But to be able to see them in all shades, ages, and colors is really important to me. So that, and then really nurturing the younger generation to understand that they have a voice. I added a young professionals committee chair to our board because I wanted to make
I
sure,
love that.
I wanted to make sure that they were actually represented and heard.
What a great idea.
Yeah, so a lot of people have committees for young professionals or under whatever age,
Right.
but they're not empowering them to speak up on the board where the
It's a big
decisions are made.
difference
Very
in
big
those two
difference.
positions,
Yes.
yeah.
So, and luckily I have a wonderful board that also recognizes the importance of the next generation. They're aging as well. They understand that without that next generation, this industry is
It's
not going to thrive.
Yeah.
So I think for me, just continuing to push those two things and just making sure that Rubber Division actually continues to be the premier resource and that we continue to educate, connect, and grow our people because that is our role in the industry. There's a lot of people trying to mimic us, but no one does it like we do.
That doesn't surprise me. You seem like an amazing leader, and I'm excited to see what you all do the next few years.
I appreciate it.
Before we let you go,
Yes.
we like to end all of our podcasts with a lightning round.
Okay.
So I promise these are easy and fun.
Okay.
First one's real easy. Where'd you grow up?
Akron, Ohio.
Very nice.
Home of LeBron James.
I love LeBron. All right, what's your Starbucks order?
Tall caramel frappuccino, almond milk.
Fancy, I like it. I'm a hot chocolate drinker.
Light
so
whip. Yes.
I always get hot chocolate, no whip, and then I always love when they forget and put the whipped cream on.
Because you're like telling yourself, well, I didn't order it.
Exactly.
So.
I'm like, the calories don't count if I
Yes,
said
if
not
I
put
said
it on.
no, I'm not putting it in my app.
All right, if you won the lottery tomorrow, would you still work?
Yes.
A lot of people have said that today.
Yeah,
a lot more than
I am yes.
Too funny. What's the last TV show that you binge watched?
The Serpent Queen.
Not heard of that one.
It is the story of Catherine de Medici.
Okay.
So she was the queen of France. And she was
Interesting.
they're terrified of her. But I love the story because she was like a rich girl but was raised in an orphan, and it's like she had so much turmoil,
I'll have to put
but
that on my list.
she learned early that I'm the boss.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes.
All right, well, what's a food you can't live without?
Warm peanut butter cookies fresh out the oven.
Yeah,
To the
no.
point that they're like burning your fingers a little bit. Yes.
Sounds pretty amazing.
You know they should cool off, but you're just not gonna let
Like,
them.
you can't wait. No, I mean, they melt in your mouth.
Right, you just can't wait.
Too funny. All right, last one. What's your bucket list travel destination?
I am fascinated right now with the Maldives.
Oh my gosh, I've been looking there. I'm trying to plan a 10-year anniversary trip for next year.
Yes.
And that's on my list.
It's just, but if I go, I want to be there for 30 days because I don't want.
Seriously.
So I don't know if it's like a temporary move. I'm not sure, but I don't know if you call it. At what point is a vacation too long? It becomes like a temporary transfer. I don't know. It just looks gorgeous.
The pictures are just out of this world. It looks almost fake.
Yes, like it looks like someone made it up,
Right?
and just to tease you to come there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's on my list. So 10 years you got to go.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on the A100 podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Association 100 podcast, brought to you by the A100 publishing team, powered by Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications. You can subscribe to the Association 100 podcast on Spotify so you'll never miss out, or listen via our website at theassociation100.com. Follow us for all the latest insights and trends impacting the world of associations. Thanks for tuning in.